Hey, how's it going, guys and girls? So this particular video is going to be talking about assets and liabilities. It's been quite good actually, although the last few videos of this nature that I've been putting out haven't necessarily hit loads of views. For me, it's not so much about that as to if it can have an impact on even one person's life. You know, if one person watches these and it makes them think in a different way, it kind of gives you a different perspective, then my time is used wisely here, you know. So it's been quite nice for me to get some feedback from certain people that have dropped me texts or private messages and stuff. So if these videos are useful, you know what I mean, put them out, share them, like them, whatever, or message me. I always appreciate that. So this one is going to be about, you know, assets and liabilities basically. And for those of you that haven't read or listened to the audio version of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I highly recommend that you do. So that was kind of the inspiration for this video, if you like, because it talks about assets and liabilities and the importance of understanding the difference between the two, because a lot of people actually get confused. And I'll give you a very good, quick example of that. Like, a lot of people always strive and dream of getting their first home, you know, acquiring a property. And a lot of people associate that with being an asset. Now, basically, if you look at what an asset is basically anything that puts money in your pocket. A liability is anything that's taking money out of your pocket. You know, it's causing you to spend money. So, on one hand, a property can be viewed as an asset. Yeah, if for example, you buy a property and you rent it out, and it's you know, the money that you're earning is paying more than your mortgage, for example, then yeah, you could argue that that's an asset because it's making you money. You still have debt over and above all of that, so I would argue it's still a liability in the long term, but provided that you've got a sensible plan there and you know that you're making enough money to cover the mortgage and still provide profit on a monthly basis that's eventually going to pay for the mortgage debt and still leave you a profit, plus obviously the value of the property, then yes, you're looking at it from the perspective of an investor as an asset. Most people think that just having a property makes it an asset for them, and so they'll gear themselves up with so much debt, and they'll put all their money down as a down payment, and then they'll get the highest mortgage or whatever, and they'll be like, great, I've got a property. Now, bear in mind, values of properties are going to fluctuate anyway. But over and above all of that, you've just added an extra, whatever it is, £1,000 or $1,000 each month to your mortgage, to your outgoings. That would probably sit in your liabilities box as a result of that. So it's important to really think about everything that you're doing and everything that you're acquiring and everything that you're working towards in terms of your dreams and your goals and aspirations, and putting them properly into whichever category they sit. Is it a liability? Is it an asset? Now, anything that you can kind of put in the category of something that's going to put money in your pocket, whether that's investing in stocks and shares, whether that's investing in a company, whatever it might be, I would argue that your most sensible means of utilizing your money is always to acquire assets and spread yourself wide as well. Like, a lot of people always talk about this whole, I'd rather be a master of something than a jack of all trades. I don't like that saying at all. Like, I would much rather know a little bit about loads of different things than be an expert in one thing. Like, I know so many people that have gone and got master's degrees, like people that have studied to become doctors, lawyers, like incredible professions, but at the same time, they don't earn as much as other people that I know that are doing different things, that are, you know, investing in different things, that are being financially smart. They're smart educationally, but they're not financially smart. And so, from a perspective of someone that's trying to build something for their future and build real wealth, like, real wealth breaks down to how long could you survive on, if you stopped working today, how long could you survive? You know, by doing that, you've got to look at the income that you've got coming in. Ideally, you'll have assets supplementing that beyond just your job, because if you got fired from your job tomorrow, you know, how long are you going to survive without that job? If you've got residual income coming from loads of different revenue streams, then the answer to that is likely to be that you'll be able to survive for a long time. However, if you've put all of your eggs in this one basket, if you've everything relies on this single thing, this single skill that you have, and yet that's taken away one day, then you have nothing. And also you're relying on you being there to be able to, hone that skill, to do that skill, to be there to do the cases if you're a lawyer, to be there to perform the operations if you're a doctor. And that's all great and fantastic, but a lot of people lose sight of the real wealth attached to different things. So, in terms of like building that, I always say this in terms of like investments and revenues and stuff. It's great. Like your average millionaire, for example, will have a number of different revenue streams, and ultimately what that boils down to is assets. They will have a large number of different assets that are earning them money, ideally without them even doing anything. You'll have invested in something, then residually you'll be earning an income from those different assets that you've got. So this video, I won't make it too much longer. It's literally just about spending some time to think about what assets you have. Are they really assets? If not, can you turn them into assets? And again, if not, then they're probably going to sit in the liability box, and are you better off getting rid of them somehow, or acquiring more assets to offset the balance that allows you to be earning enough money from the assets and the income to supplement and to look after those liabilities and still provide you with income to live off of, basically. That's kind of the main subject area that I want to kind of get people to be thinking about here. I could give 1,000,001 examples of what is an asset, what is a liability. Hopefully the very simplistic term of an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is something that's taking money out of it, is enough to make you think and realise for yourself, what am I investing in? And the final point that I would say on this video with reference to assets and liabilities, something that I was always taught from a young age is to kind of speculate, to accumulate, always be forward thinking. Like, so many people will get like, you might get an inheritance fund of 30 grand and they're like, boom, I'm rich, let's go on holiday. It's like, think wisely with the money that you do get. The whole point that I personally try and take is like, if I make money from something, if I get money, if I acquire money, invest it in assets. Like, don't put it into liabilities, invest it into something that is going to make more money. I.e., the whole kind of perspective of that is make your money work for you. Like, so many people get stuck in jobs where they work for money, and they're very specific, and they're limited to having that job, having to be there for that job, having to do that job, and if they're not there for that job, then money isn't coming in. Whereas if you've got money working for you, you could be chilling, you could be relaxing on holiday or wherever it is that you want to be, and your money is working for you, whether it's in stocks and shares and they're going up because you've made smart investments, whether it's in property that you've rented out and people are paying you an income and supplementing your mortgage on any debt that you have there, whether it's in a business that you've invested in and the business is doing great, and all you need to be doing is just nipping in every now and then and providing some overseeing managerial stuff. 1,000,001, ways of it being and happening, but don't focus on this one thing and put everything into that. This is my opinion, by the way. I will put that disclaimer out there because there's nothing to say that there aren't people out there that have put everything into one thing and they've seen huge success for it. That's fantastic. This is my opinion. This is a suggestion that I have found useful, and for the vast majority I think would be useful, to spread yourself a little bit. I mean, it's general wise investment knowledge, basically, to spread your investments across the board so that you are secure should any of them fail. So should any one fail, then you still have the others to supplement you. And the same thing applies just in general life with your assets. Make sure that you have a number of different assets that are bringing in revenue residually to cover any liabilities that you have. But it all comes down to that same old thing, self-assessment. Sit down every now and then, take a look at what you've got, take a look at where you are in life, take a look at what assets and liabilities you have, put them in their boxes and their categories, do some basic calculations and make sure that you are actually building wealth and that you're not building yourself or digging yourself a grave without that, basically.